These two apps look almost identical. Same dark theme, same donut chart, and the same name, Ledger. But nobody designed them to match. The one on the left was built by Claude Opus 4.8. The one on the right was built by Fable 5, the brand new flagship that costs exactly double. I gave both models the exact same prompt, word for word, one shot. No follow ups, no second chances. Build me a complete expense tracker as one single file. Both of them shipped. Both of them passed almost every test I threw at them. I was about to call it a tie. Then I opened the stored data and I found a number that should not exist. That number is the real difference between these two models, and nobody is showing it in the demos. Here is the test design, because a comparison is only as honest as its rules. One prompt identical to the letter. A personal expense tracker in one self-contained HTML file. Add, edit, and delete expenses. A monthly view with a chart the model has to draw itself. No libraries, no CDN, no network requests at all. Data saved locally, and it has to look like something you would actually use every day. Each model ran in its own isolated session, on the same machine with the same tools, started at the same second. One more thing, every check you are about to see is an automated script, not my opinion. You can download the whole test kit and run it on any two models you like. The link is below. Opus came back first. 6 minutes and 2 seconds. 44,000 tokens. 9 tool calls and a finished app. 1001 lines of code in a 41 kilobyte file. Fable took 8 minutes and 50 seconds. Almost 3 minutes longer. 71,000 tokens. 60% more than Opus. And 18 tool calls, exactly twice as many. If this were a race, Opus just won it. Cheaper, faster, done. But those extra tool calls Fable made, it was not writing more code with them. It was doing something else entirely. Something I have never seen a model do unprompted. Hold that thought, because it decides the whole comparison. First look, and honestly, both of these are good. Opus built a tight 2-column dashboard. Donut chart drawn by hand on a canvas. Transactions grouped by day. And a clever touch, it seeds 5 sample expenses on first open, so the app never greets you with an empty screen. Fable went more product. Summary cards, a budget slot, a second chart for daily spending, a floating add button, and designed empty states. Its breakdown panel literally says, nothing spent this month. Nice or suspicious. A model wrote that joke. But here is where it gets eerie. Both models name their app Ledger, independently. And both pick the exact same storage key, ledger.expenses.v1. Load them in the same browser, and they would literally fight over your data. Same instincts, same lineage. The difference is discipline, and it is about to show. So I drove the same 11 tests through both apps with a robot browser. The same 7 expenses to the cent. Add, edit, delete, undo. Both passed. I attacked the note field with a script injection. Both apps rendered it harmless. I planted an expense on June 1st to see if it would leak into May. Neither leaked. I added a July expense while standing in June, and both apps jumped straight to July, like they had rehearsed it. Reload and everything persists. 10 tests in, the scoreboard was 10 to 10. The only blemish anywhere was Opus stacking up 7 little toast notifications like unwashed dishes. Cosmetic. Then came test 11. The one where I stopped looking at the screen and looked at the data instead. Test 11 checks the stored data, down to the last decimal. Fable's storage read 22,639. That looks weird until you realize it is counting cents. Whole, exact, integer cents. Opus stored dollars instead, as floating point numbers, and after just 8 entries and 1 edit, its stored total read 226.39, followed by 11 zeros, and then a 1. That trailing one is float drift. The display rounds it away, so the user never sees it. The demo looks perfect. The data is quietly wrong. Every senior engineer watching this just nodded. Because rule 1 of handling money is that you never store it as floats. Fable followed the rule without being told. Opus shipped the thing that looks identical in every screenshot and fails the audit. You cannot see this difference in a demo. That is exactly the point. Then I shrank both apps to a phone screen, 390 pixels wide. Fable reflowed into a clean single column. Cards stacked, charts resized, and the add button floats right where your thumb lives. Opus did not reflow. Its layout stayed 435 pixels wide on a 390 pixel screen. The dollar amounts, the actual numbers and expense tracker exists to show you, get clipped off the right edge of the display. It wrote a responsive breakpoint. It just never tested it. And that is the pattern again. It looks finished on the developer's monitor and breaks in the one place the developer was not looking. An expense tracker that hides your money on a phone is failing at its only job. Which brings us back to those mystery tool calls. Here is what Fable spent its extra 3 minutes on. After writing the app, it opened its own code in an automated browser and attacked it like a hostile tester. Add, edit, delete, undo, reload, the whole drill. And it found 2 real bugs in its own work. A CSS class collision that wrecked the bar chart, and a toast notification painting just off screen. It fixed both, tested again, and only then declared the job done. Opus verified too, to be fair. 8 assertions in a headless browser, all green. That is more than most humans do. But Fable behaved like the engineer who refuses to trust their own code until it survives an attack. That paranoia is what you are paying double for. Now, the honest part. Because this was not a knockout. Opus finished almost 3 minutes sooner. It used 38% fewer tokens. And it runs at half the price. $5 in and $25 out per million tokens, against 10 and 50 for Fable. Opus also shipped 2 ideas Fable never had. That demo data on first launch, so the app never looks dead. And custom categories. Type anything and it invents a color for it on the spot. Fable's categories are a fixed list of 10. If you are a developer who reviews every line anyway, Opus at half price is not a compromise. It is the rational choice. The real question is what happens when nobody reviews the code. So here is the verdict. Final score. Fable 11 out of 11. Opus 10 out of 11. Plus a phone layout. My tests only caught because I went looking. Both apps demo perfectly. Both screenshots look shippable. The price gap is invisible until month 3 when the float drift meets a tax export or a user opens the app in a checkout line. What you are buying for double the money is not smarter code. It is instincts. Integer cents without being asked. Testing its own work like an enemy would. The boring discipline that never shows up in a screenshot. If a human reviews everything Claude writes, save your money and run Opus. If the code ships the moment the model says done, and increasingly that is how all of us work, then Fable's paranoia is the cheapest insurance you can buy. I packaged this entire experiment into a free test kit. The exact prompt I gave both models. All 11 automated checks, the full scorecard, and a guide to rerun this test on any 2 models in 20 minutes. Comment the word ledger, the name both models chose on their own, and I will send it to you. It is also linked below. If you want real tests instead of demo hype, subscribe. This channel runs the experiments the launch posts skip. Bite-size AI drops on Instagram. Deep dives here on YouTube. See you in the next one.